Make sure I had the right one going. Because I always hit the wrong button on these things every time I turn around. You know what? If I was smart enough, Dex, I would label this stuff. But, I decided to act like I know more than I think I know and just leave it unlabeled. And I always hit the wrong. I always hit the wrong button on this here damn thing, man. Which is crazy. I'm like, one of those deals. I'm like, holy smoke. You know what? I know Carl was talking to a guy that follows me, and I'm hoping that he jumps in with us tonight. He goes by Spike on here. He listens to us on Sundays. Okay. He's helped me out anytime I need something for my to help when I'm helping other families. Yeah, man, he's usually right there, making sure that I have what I need. He's been really, really good. So I'm hoping he joins us on today. I know him and Carl went back and forth there, so I don't try to get into what Carl does. He does a good job at that, so I leave that alone. So what's going on with you, Dex? What's happening, man?
Everything is everything, There was, my friends did a benefit concert, the second of two. Benefit concert for the cause last night, and I listened in to some of that, and
I sat in for a little bit of that.
And that was. I didn't get to hear the music because something's wrong with my link, but it was great to talk to all those people. My parents actually listened to it, and they were very impressed. I think they hadn't realized kind of the scale of the effort and how much, how many people there were and how committed they were. You know what I'm saying? So they were kind of blown away.
Yes, sir.
So it's cool.
That will.
Yeah, and other than that, I'm just watching the antics of various and sundry Democrats.
Man.
Around the country.
Man.
I mean, they're doing all types of shit.
You know what? It's at a point. I don't even, I've been so busy this week. I mean, this is, what I've been trying to do, Dex, is trying to scale things down so I'm not pushing myself so much, and I'm not getting as tired because my body itself gets tired. But this week, it's been full. I mean, I literally haven't even had time to keep up with even post stuff on Twitter, and I'm not kidding when I say that. I just don't have. I've been full blown going. I'm working with another young man here. I'm going to be doing a interview with his sister. Well, you know what? Before I tell you that part, let me tell you this part.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you heard here in Minnesota, the Minnesota Supreme Court has said that. Did you hear about that?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Well, in fact, Walker Anderson's mom jumped into one of the spaces briefly last night just to say hello and give the news. And I had heard it before, but it was great to hear her voice and to talk to her briefly.
Sure.
I mean, I think that's fantastic. I'm really, really happy about that.
Yeah. I mean, and my thing about this is now we really have to get the police and those in office to clamp down on these firearms that's being sold on the streets, because the most hottest gun they're looking for is a gun without a serial number on it. That is the hottest gun you can. That gun will sell for $1,000 easily on the street. So we've got to get these people to understand that You can't have a criminal with a gun shoot somebody and then you downparture the gun charges. That's crazy.
And then you what the gun?
You
you what you said? I'm sorry.
You drop the gun charges. See, in Minnesota here, a person can come and stick a gun in your face, take your car. They'll drop the gun charges and then just charge you with robbery. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, hang on a second. Isn't there such a crime as armed robbery?
There is.
On the books in Minnesota?
There is. You're right.
Okay, so what's wrong with charging them with armed robbery?
That's the problem, Dexter. That's the whole problem.
You mean they get the plead down from armed robbery
yes, sir.
to a lesser kind of robbery? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
When you said gun charges, I'm like, because when you said gun charges, I'm like, I don't believe in no gun charges. But yeah, armed, No, seriously. It's like, listen, nothing about a gun is a problem in itself. Commit a crime using a gun, well, you've committed a crime. Armed robbery is armed robbery. But yeah, I've talked about the fact that, the police system, the way that prosecutors and courts rely on plea deals is too much. It lets, it's basically a big gaping hole in criminal justice. Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah. So we had a 16-year-old boy. That's what happened here in Minnesota. Buy gun parts off of the internet, put that gun together, and went out and shot a 23-year-old girl in the head at Boom Island. She just happens to be in the pathway of that firearm. They haven't taken him to court. They haven't charged him yet. But we're thinking that they're going to more than likely not charge him with a gun charge, but charge him with, like they always do. Every time you read one of these blotters and you see or you hear a gun is in possession of a criminal, some way, somehow, the gun charges or whatever happens with the gun, it also always disappear. So once that disappears, there's no more investigation on where did he get the gun and how did he get the gun. That investigation is gone. What we have to do is we have to tell them we want all of that investigated. We want to know where he got the gun from. How much did he pay for the gun? When did he get the gun? And we're not getting that information. So a lot of people. Well, go ahead.
Go on. No, go on.
So a lot of people in the community, knowing that a gun without a serial number can get you can get one of those now for a good $700 to $1,000. That's the hottest thing, because now I can shoot somebody and nobody would be wiser of where I got that gun from. Like they said, it's harder to trace that gun. It's harder to find out what.
But
now,
here's where I disagree with you. Yeah, I disagree with that entirely. I mean, because look, first of all, it's if you shoot someone with a gun, or if you rob someone at knife point or gun point or whatever,
sure.
It's nice to know. It would be nice to know where the person got the weapon, but the thing is, the crime is the crime. You see, what I'm
you have 1 minute
pushing back
left.
against. What I'm pushing back against. Oh, we're already at the 30 minutes. I'm going to drop and call back. What
Okay.
I'm pushing against is the idea that a gun without a serial number is some special problem for law enforcement. It's not, right? If you shoot someone, right, that's a crime. the instrument is not the crime. The crime is the crime. And so, that's the problem we have is that, these things. Let me drop and call you back. I'll be right back.
Okay, we'll talk in a minute.
The caller has hung up.
All right. How we doing tonight, people? For those who don't know what we're doing, just to bring you all up to speed, who you're hearing on the backside of this here is Dexter Taylor. And a lot of you know that Dexter Taylor is sitting in a prison right now doing 10 years for that reason. Dexter Taylor was putting together some firearms, never went outside his home, never fired them or anything. He got a crooked judge and a crooked system that pretty much put him in prison for 10 years. Why? Because he did something that he had every right to do. And that's assemble guns. Period, point blank. But he's sitting in prison right now for doing just that. Now, this is a man who has no record. I mean, no, dude ain't never been, well, other than he said, like he said, a few parking tickets maybe. Other than that, Dexter hasn't done anything to anyone. He has not been a problem to anyone. But because he did this here, the state of New York decided that he would be an easy mark.
That's his back, Reverend.
All right. But they said they decided that he was going to be their mark. And he's going to be an he's an easy mark. Easy mark is people who live their lives the way they're supposed to, and the system can figure out something to do to them. That's what happened. What's going on, Dex? Go ahead and finish up what you.
Yeah, so I think this is one of the problems that we get to when we're talking about let's say jurisdictions that are already Second Amendment hostile, and they're trying to solve this problem of crime, right? These cities and these states choose to focus on the instrument when they need to focus on the crime. Like a gun without a serial number is not a special problem. Now, let me rephrase that. If someone has purchased a legitimate firearm, it happens to have a serial number, and you somehow remove the serial number, well, that's already a crime, right? Because now you're interfering with an already serialized weapon. And that's already a crime. I believe it's a federal crime even to remove the serial number of a weapon. But whether or not a weapon has a serial number doesn't make much of a difference or any difference at all in terms of how law enforcement officials work that crime. Someone drops a body, and they flee the scene with the weapon. Well, where's the serial number? There is no serial number available to the detectives because there is no weapon at the scene. What do? They canvass the scene, pick up shell casings, talk to witnesses, and they work the case. I read earlier on the AP News wire that they finally found this guy who had shot up a bar in Montana, I think it was, and killed 4 people. They just found him. Okay. There was no thing about, we don't know how we're going to find this guy because the weapon has no serial number. No, they deployed search teams. They did what they did and they tracked the guy down in a somewhat rugged area of Montana, right? So, go after the crimes. Go after people hurting people with firearms. But if we allow these governments to say, the gun has no serial number, it was a privately manufactured firearm, what have you, then we get to the same kind of thing that landed Walker Anderson in trouble for no good reason, that landed me in trouble for no good reason. So that's my only objection is that This is all of the kind of flagrant violations of people's Second Amendment rights, right? They tend to have their genesis in these events where someone says, "Oh, there should be a law against this weapon," and I'm like, "Well, no, there's a law against the act. Shooting someone is a crime, right? Except if it's in self-defense. So go after the shooter." But these political hacks in these blue cities are like, well, the instrument is a crime. And now you've given them license to kind of go through people's pockets, to enter people's homes, to do all this kind of stuff because they're looking for the instrument. I don't care about the instrument. I care about the person wielding the instrument. So that's where I kind of differ with you, is that whenever people start to, these unserialized weapons, it's like, yeah, I'm kind of not with that whole hysteria about unserialized firearms. I don't, no one cares if someone stabs someone in the street. No one cares, bro, that the knife does not have a serial number. Like, the police do not care. Why is that? Because it's irrelevant, right? Serial numbers track legitimate purchases, right? Legitimate firearm transfers. So the people who are shooting the place up are not, by and large, buying weapons from some legitimate vendor under their own names and then going and shooting up the place. It's not what they're doing.
Right.
So that's where I differ.
Right. And that's what and that's where we're having the problem. There was an 11-year-old boy and a 16-year-old boy. 11-year-old boy and a 16-year-old boy just had a shootout. The 11-year-old boy pointed a gun at the 16-year-old boy. The 16-year-old boy shot and killed the 11-year-old boy. Those are the problems that we have when it comes to firearms. And we're trying to figure out how these kids are getting these firearms. Where are these guns coming from? They took 80 so far. They took 187. Was it 187? I do believe I may be off one or two, but I do believe it was 187 ghost guns off the street as of now this year. They've taken 500 plus guns off the streets as of this year, right now. With what is going on? Mostly all the ones that they have taken off the streets have been related to either a shooting or drugs. With everything that's going on. 9-year-old boy, they was shooting in the streets on Bryant. 9-year-old boy family, they was upstairs. The little boy was shot in the shoulder. The gunplay here in Minnesota has gotten way out of hand. And they've got to find a way to bring this here somewhat. It's never going to be under control, but somewhat under control before more of our kids are laying in the street dead.
Well, we've talked about this before. Why are there so many young men running around shooting the place up and hurting each other? Well, why is there so much crime in so many of our urban districts, especially the ones run by Democrats? Well, we've been destroying the family in these same places for decades, and the family is the root of civilization. The root is the foundation of civil society. So you destroy the family, you break civil society. You break civil society, all hell breaks loose. So my question is always, well, why are Democrats, or why are people, why are these politicians always ducking the problem that's been created by these policies, and they look around for things to focus on, and although it's the guns. It's like, well, No, it's people using guns to hurt people. I mean, that's it, right? So, and it is a problem. But again, my issue, especially being who I am and being in the situation I'm in, is always, to watch very closely at what these politicians try to do, because what they very often end up doing, especially when there's a kind of moral panic about, oh my God, they tend to pass all these new laws that end up catching people in a dragnet that have no business in the dragnet. We saw a similar thing back in the 80s and 90s with a moral panic about crack cocaine. Remember that? Like, oh my goodness, all these young people are dying. It's like this terrible thing. And Len Bias, the basketball player, he collapsed on the court and died. And now we have to, and you end up with this whole raft of laws that essentially swept the streets clean of people and have ballooned the prison industrial complex. Is it necessary to do that to get a handle on street crime? I don't think so. But incompetent political hacks who either don't know how or are not interested in tackling the root of the problem, they'll focus on whatever's easiest and they'll pile on that. So that's my problem with this whole fixation with unserialized firearms. It's like when they get going on this moral panic, they don't care. They don't make any distinctions, right? So I made a bunch of unserialized weapons, right? None of them ever left my home, okay? But the state of New York is treating me as if I'm public enemy number one because I was making weapons, right? That's a problem, right? And I am not their problem. I am not the problem in the streets of New York. I am not shooting the place up. So my thing is always go after the people who are shooting the place up.
Speaking of which,
mm-hmm.
So is there any update we got going on? Have we at least pushed? I know the mountain will probably never move until we get some big, maybe Don Jr. But has the mountain moved at all? Do we have any updates? Can you got something to make us feel kind of good?
Well, we're still fundraising. We're still kind of pushing to that point where we can file our appeal.
Okay.
But the good news is we are making a lot of progress just in terms of awareness and getting more people to know what's happening and to know about the case and to get involved and to start spreading the word. The last month or so, we picked up our momentum has really picked up. We're talking to new people all the time. We're just now finding out about the case. So that's good. I say that's a very positive development. We're doing this for the grassroots army. So it's not like the big voices in politics where the big influencers are paying attention. But we have a lot of people at the grassroots level who care about this and who are pushing it. So we're turning up the volume slowly but surely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And like I said, with everybody doing those, and like I sat in on it a little bit last night, on a little concert thing they had going on for you with things like that. And you also have a few people out here that when I'm bouncing around the internet, I come across and go, hey, I didn't know they knew about Dexter. But there's a couple other people that's actually putting your name out there and everything. So as long as we can keep you in the air and your name out there in the air, I do believe that, somebody, my mindset was this. If they can move Elaine Gaxell, whatever her name is, if they can move her to a better prison, they can pardon you. They can get you out of there. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, man. You know, here she is.
I don't particularly like to have my name spoken in the same sentence.
Well, understood.
I don't think that's a good comparison. Not at all.
Okay.
I'd rather stay. Listen, I'd rather stay in here if that's the case. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not the same.
Right.
Nah. You know.
So
it's like yeah.
No. I was going to give you a fun fact because I was doing some. So I was having it, which is cool as get up, and I came home just to look this up, up. But I was talking to this elder. It's 93 years old today because I was at a book bag giveaway. The police was out there, the fire department. A lot of people showed up for this thing. So we had a book bag giveaway, free haircuts for the kids, food, some of everything. And a lot of times, if I see an elder, I like to ask them about their experience, especially coming up. So I'm sitting here and I'm talking to this elderly man, and a lot of times once you start asking them about themselves, they go off and they tell you about some of everything. So he tells me about this story in 1914 in Mississippi, Panhandle County, Panola, Panhandle County, in 1914. Don't you know it's in Mississippi. Don't you know they had an ordinance that said black people could not have dogs? Look it up.
Wow, that's crazy.
Look it up.
Crazy.
I was like, are you kidding me? He goes, young man, write this down and then go look it up. I said, okay. In 1914, the state of Mississippi, this county in Mississippi said black people could not own a dog. Why? Because it would alert the night riders.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Is that crazy or what, man? That's the type of stuff they don't teach you that in school, right? And I know why they don't teach stuff like that in school. I mean, when people run around talking about people feeling guilty, anyway. But yeah, I thought that was, and he told me a bunch of other stuff that we talked about how because he's from Mississippi, and like I said, think about it now. He's 90-something years old. You know what? You probably wouldn't even have any clue.
He's seen a lot.
This man has seen a lot, especially in Mississippi. Right? And so he's telling me about Bull Connor, how Bull Connor came through their county, and the things that Bull Connor was saying, and things of that sort. So I said to him, when you got to vote, who did you vote? Why did you vote the way you did? Why did you vote the way you did? And that's what he said. He said by the time they actually got to vote, he said that they had the right to vote, but going to the poll station to vote was almost a suicide mission. Even though even though we had the right to vote, he said going to the polls was almost like a suicide mission for black men to go and to try to vote. And just like he was saying, he was explaining to me that black people, and he says the same thing you and I say, Dexter, that black people are inherently conservative, right? That's what he said. He said, we have always been a conservative type of people. We love our family, we love God, and this is the only country we know of, correct? so he was saying, well, I wanted to vote in a conservative way. What I believe in, how I see this nation, what true conservative is, right? God, family, country. He said that's exactly what he said to me, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is I wish some of these conservative influencers or so-called conservative influencers could really get this through their heads. Yeah, it's
we have to.
It's funny. Go on.
That's we need to have them go down and talk to old black men. That's what we need to do. Yeah. So because I'm sitting there listening to this guy. I didn't say a word, bro. I just let him talk, and just listening to some of the things that he says. I'm like, dude, that's exactly what I've always said. That is us. That is us as a black community. That is us as black people. We just got bamboozled because the Bull Connors of the world, because the Barry Goldwaters of the world decided to use their influence to go somewhere different. And that's what he was saying. He was like, when Barry Goldwater came on the scene, he said, that change, he said, you want to really know where the change came from? He said, when Barry Goldwater came on the scene, he said, that's when the movement really started in Mississippi. I was like, okay.
Even the movement from black folks supporting Republicans to black folks supporting the Democratic Party. That's what you mean?
That's right. That's right. And he echoed. Even though my grandfather never made the switch. My grandfather died a conservative. My grandfather never voted for the Democrats because how ugly the Democrats at one time was to black. Well, they still are, but they were uglier, right? When my grandfather was coming up, it was the Dixiecrats. It was the Democrats that was ugly to black people, that was putting water hoses on black people, that was having dogs sicked on black people. My grandfather never made the switch, bro.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, and look, we also have to remember that during the Jim Crow era, another thing that people noted, and I'm guessing took to heart, is that even when there was a Republican, when the federal government was in Republican hands, Republicans, for the most part, chose not to do anything about, lynching, about Jim Crow violence, and so on and so forth. At a certain point, they just decided we're not gonna get involved, and that's the problem, And I think a lot of people remember that that's a hard one.
Well, wasn't it the Republicans at the time who made the deal to pull all the troops out of the South, and that's why we actually got Jim Crow? At the time, who the Republicans were at the time, because this whole basket was flipped over at one point in time. At one point in time, we were, as black people, were Republicans, and the Republicans actually fought for us at one time. And then all of a sudden the basket flips, right? And now the Democrats swear up and down that they fight for us, and the Republicans are doing what the Democrats did back in the day.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is why I always say, we don't have any permanent friends in Washington. But then the good news is that none of our other fellow citizens have any permanent friends in Washington either.
They just don't know that.
Just that we always need to be. We just always need to be. Well, to be fair, look, some people don't know that, and with some people, it's a matter of, okay, it's 2025, it's 2026, whatever. It's the modern day. You're trying to make a decision as to who to support. Well, if there is no one to support, that is, if the other party is talking and acting and thinking just like Democrats, then what's the difference?
Mm.
If Republicans don't, I mean, this is always my argument is that look, the Democratic Party, the Republican Party has not bothered in the modern era to make itself into a party worth voting for. It's just that the Democratic Party has made itself into a party worth voting against. Okay, but you still need someone to vote for. And what happens when the Republicans come and they decide to try to run in blue cities, let's say, in blue states? Well, they start talking like statists. They forget their constitutional principles. Suddenly, all that stuff is irrelevant. They don't want to tackle any of the real problems that, in many cases, Democratic politicians have created. Okay, so if that's the case, then what's the difference? What's the difference?
Well, here
we have a so-called conservative running for mayor right now in New York. His name is Curtis Lewa.
He's socialist. Right?
You know what his contribution is? You know what his contribution was to the constitutional issues of the time? He thinks like all gun owners should have to submit to a psychological examiner for years. Really?
Did he say that out loud?
Really?
Did he say that out loud?
Yeah. Okay, so you know, like, what's the difference? You know, when they decided when in New York they decided the Fourth Amendment didn't matter, did Republicans show up and say, actually, no, the Fourth Amendment still matters? You know, you can't just go through people's pockets at random and call that a kind of policing and think it's okay. Republicans were all in on that. Okay, well, so what's the difference? You know, if you want to distinguish yourself, you have to distinguish yourself. You know, it's great to cite history. It's great to say, well, at one point we did this and we were this and we were that. But, every time people go to the polls, they've got to make that decision. And they're not just looking at the past, looking at what you're doing and what you're saying now. So that's a huge problem. That's a huge problem. And, Republicans don't seem to be able to get that right. And so I'm hoping they do. I'm hoping they get the message at some point. I thought they would have gotten the message after this last election, this past November. Donald Trump showed that a Republican candidate can carve off minority votes that are alleged to be kind of a strong, Democratic strongholds, right? Or minority votes that people assume will always go to Democrats. He carved that off.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Made big strides.
Let me ask you a question on that one. Do you think that was more of a protest vote by the black people versus Kamala Harris?
Well, I think part of that was absolutely part of that was that the Kamala Harris was so horrible,
right?
That people were like, "Well, absolutely no way." But it's also true that Donald Trump actually bothered to go and talk to people. I mean, that's the key, right? You have to bother to go and talk to people. You have to have when you go talk to them, you have to have something else to say other than an insult. You have to have something else to say other than a noun, a verb, and plantation. You have to have something else to say other than, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. I mean, true, but can we update the discussion at all? Is there any new information we need to take into account? That's materialized since the time of Abraham Lincoln. So that's the thing. And here's the other thing is that if Republicans are serious about interrupting the Democratic agenda, then they have to realize that there won't always be a candidate as horrible as Kamala Harris. Right? I mean, there won't always be a person like that to run against. So, at the end of the day, if you're conservative, you got to run as a conservative. You have to make a conservative case to people everywhere. And if you refuse to do that, then I have to conclude that you don't have the courage of your own convictions as a politician. And that's the problem. The Democrats are a known problem, but it's human nature to go with the devil you know rather than the devil you don't know. So that's what I say to that.
Right. Yeah. So that, I mean, like I said, when I'm in these barbershops or beauty salons, a lot of people who voted, black people who voted for Donald Trump, was like, I voted more against Kamala than I did for Donald.
Yeah, I hear a lot of that too. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you know what else? What I hear is that they're tired of the Democratic agenda.
Yeah,
this is an actual quote: making everything gay. I mean, I've literally heard people say that.
Yeah, no.
You have 1 minute left.
Yeah, they just trying to make everything gay, man. I'm not interested if people say that.
Well,
so.
I blame Obama for that. I mean, I don't blame
it. Start with it.
Huh?
I mean, he has to bear a huge portion of the blame.
Okay.
But it didn't start with him. It didn't start with him. I remember when this thing was just when this whole thing was just kind of percolating inside the higher education system.
Okay.
And then the people who were in college, who were in grad students, this is back in the 80s and the 90s, right? And the people who were in school back then graduated, started making policy. So, yeah, and look, especially his recent quotes. I mean, I have to say, Obama has not covered himself in glory at all. But we have to be honest. One man does not a movement make, and this thing has been a movement. It's been a seismic change in politics, and it's not just him. You know.
Thank you, producer. Securus. Goodbye.
All right, so he'll be back. We just usually when we hear we get a minute warning, and usually when we hear that we kind of cut off and he hangs up and things like that. But we got into a conversation here about Obama because we're going to talk about this because apparently Obama says that men need some gay people in their life. Something like I'm not gonna straight quote him, but he kind of said that these boys need gay people or gay something in their life. And I blame, like I said, Dexter and I we're gonna get into a back and forth there in a second because we don't disagree on a lot of stuff, but when we do, we have that conversation. So I disagree with Dexter on that. I like I said, I guess I wasn't looking for it in the 80s, in the 70s and 80s. I think it compiled it in our face. To me.
Be back there.
Here we go. Okay, all righty. Hey, all right. Hey, Dex. So,
yeah.
With that being said, like you said in the 80s and the 90s, 70, 80, and 90s. Yeah. See, I'd have to say I miss that part. Because I didn't see that much, other than gay bars. Like when we was in Jacksonville, North Carolina, they had a gay bar, right? But I during my time coming up, I didn't see two guys walking down the street holding hands. I didn't see two guys kissing. You didn't see a lot of the commercials that we see today.
Right.
To me, I didn't see a lot of that.
Right. Right. And what I'm saying is you didn't see a lot of that because it was all that stuff was percolating on the college campuses.
Okay.
I remember because I was on a college campus in the 80s.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I remember and I'm saying the people who were in college then, what did they do? The people who wanted to get involved in government and public policy, they graduated from college, they graduated from grad school, and then they started making policy. Right? And not just policy. They started working in the culture industry. They started working in media. They started working in movies. They started working in television. They started working in newspaper. Okay, right. So you would have seen and many conservatives who claim to have been paying attention would have seen that percolating on the campuses. They would have seen the rise of certain kind of sentiment in popular culture. And if they'd been paying attention, they would have said, okay, wait a minute, this is, something's happening here. What's driving this? And you would think they might have said, well, it's important for us, it's important for conservatives to have a hand in culture as well, to have a hand in media as well, to kind of tell our side of things and kind of promote our vision of society. They did none of those things. For whatever reason, they were lazy, they were complacent, they were overconfident, they were prideful, whatever the case is. They didn't do that, right? And so, again, because look, Obama was only the president. And they didn't say he was only the president. Okay, so how do you explain how the stuff took off in so many states, including red ones? How do you explain that? You can't explain that by the actions of one man. However much you may dislike his politics or his public statements or what have you, it's not like that. And this comes to my constant complaint about conservatives is that they're not. They were laid off the mark in terms of understanding that we were going to be involved in the fight of our lives, right, for our American civilization and for the values we care about. So yeah, they showed up to the battle late and lightly armed, and not really coming to fight until they were almost certain to lose. So that's the problem. They didn't think about, well, what political coalitions are we going to have to, what new coalitions are we going to have to make? What old political coalitions are we going to have to remake? All right, in order to kind of bring our best to this fight. They did none of those things. They just kind of
right.
Keep running on inertia, I suppose. So yeah. And I mean, even now, like I think, Trump is an interesting figure. He's a disruptive figure. He kind of, came at the right time to take advantage of many people's frustration with what's going on. But
is it frustration or is it fear?
Is it what? Pardon me?
I say, is it frustration or is it fear?
Well, I mean, call it both. Okay. What's the difference? But what I'm saying is, he's able to take advantage of the fact that people are unhappy with what's going on. Okay, but people are still, conservatives still have to have a positive vision for the future, right? And they still have to communicate that vision and fight for that vision, and get people on side. And one president in office for however many years is not this is a longer term fight than just one or two presidential terms, and this is a more wide ranging fight than just the executive or the executive and the federal legislature, right? This is a 50-state, all hands on deck, full court press, right? And conservatives have to get on the ball. That's it. So that is my argument. That's always been my argument. For as long as I've been a conservative, that is what is required. And again, going to what you said, conservatives need all the allies they can get. So it won't do to start carving off different groups of people because you don't like how they vote and say, well, it's not worth talking to these people. Conservatives have to bring a private sector approach to changing hearts and minds. I come from the private sector. I had a 30-some-odd year career in the software industry. Every company I ever worked for, people woke up every day and thought about how to eat the competition's lunch. that's business, right? Say, okay, how are we going to snatch some customers from that guy over there? How are we going to convince these people to use our product or use our service? Okay, too many conservatives and too many conservative influencers take a kind of lazy bureaucrat approach to business development, to changing hearts and minds, to winning converts. They say, well, this is hard, so we're not going to do it. Really? Oh, it's hard, so you're not going to do it. Oh, okay, well, good luck, right? And so, yeah, that's the thing. That's how I explain the behavior of influencers like Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens and Larry Elder and such. It's like Jason Whitlock and so on and so forth. It's like, well, they're not thinking in this private sector way. Like, okay, we've got to wake up every morning and change hearts and minds. We've got to go after the competition. They're not thinking like that, right? They're thinking like lazy government bureaucrats. Well, it is what it is.
Well, yeah.
It's like, no, I don't, no, I'm not with that.
Well, it's easy. It's easy to do it that way because they know that there's not. I mean, the people that you just named, there's not really much that is expected of those people. So,
well, that's right.
They can wake up.
They're good at raising money. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
Right.
They can wake up.
Doing fundraisers, and that's right.
Yeah. No, I got you. Like I said, they can wake up. They can wake up and mail it in every single day, and the people don't expect much of them because they're not really, and they do. You're right. You're dead right.
That's right.
So
they mail it in. They phone it in. Yeah.
So have you been listening or have you heard Nick Fuentes lately? Anything that he's been saying?
I told you, Reverend Tim, I'm not interested in sissies. I'm not interested in sissies who are almost totally federal assets. Like, why would I, you know what I'm saying? Like, why would I tune into a sissy?
Because
again,
he's
not just a sissy, but like a fed sissy. Really? Nah, go on. I mean, okay. Sissy snitch, Nick Fuentes says what now?
No, because this is what's cracking me up. Here's what cracks me up about this whole thing, right? About Nick, right? Because if you look at Nick's birth certificate, it's pretty much saying he's a Mexican, right? So, but he pushes himself as being white, and white people go for it, right? Instead of calling them. So when he's dogging everybody except white people, right? It kind of reminds me of the George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman became the whitest Mexican in the whole world, right? Because when he's Mexican, they were saying, send him back, put him over the wall. When he killed the little black kid, he was as white as all get up. Nobody talked about who it's the same thing with Nick. As long as Nick is on here spewing the crap that he says, they're happy. Watch when he turn on them. Like what Candace did, right? As long as Candace was stomping down on the black community, and she was saying the most horrible things about Albury, the kid Albury. She was saying just the nastiest thing about black fathers. Oh, she was the darling. But the minute she turned on them, they hate her now. Candace is the most hated, but I just want to make sure we get that Nick Fuentes out there, because what Nick is doing right now is exactly what Candace is. He's spearing this, black people this. Oh, nobody wants to be around black people. Nobody. I was just the other day in a room. There was no black people in this room that I was in, and there had to be about 65 white people in the room. I shook every single one of their hands. We sat out and had coffee, and I had no problem with him. You understand what I'm saying? But Nick is out here talking about nobody wants to be around black people. Black people are this and black people are that, and they're loving him to death.
Well, again, look, it's very true that there are a bunch of people on Twitter and other social media platforms, who like listening to a sissy talk spicy about race stuff or ethnicity or ethnic groups or whatever. Okay, and listen, like you said, if he refocuses the conversation in a way that people don't like, then he will cease to be the flavor of the week. Yeah, sure. Again, my trouble is that I just have a really hard time caring one way or another, like what he says. And again, because I've been online since online met dial-up. Okay,
right.
And it's like you always see people like this. It's not interesting. It's not new. It's just not. You know what I'm saying? I can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Candace Owens is like she's a disappointment, but same thing. It's like, I just can't work up the, okay, sweetheart, let's see what you have to say. It's annoying, right? When because I see my one of my goals as trying to get more people to basically trying to hand losses to Democrats. That's right. That's part of my goal. And political losses to Democrats. Okay. And people like Owens make it harder to do that. Right. People like Charlie Kirk make it harder to do that. They're interfering with the work that many of us are doing. So it's annoying, but it's like, and again, I'm just as these days again. But going back to Nick Fuentes, I just think it's funny. It's like, isn't it obvious that the man is a snitch? Like, what do you?
Right.
Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So it's just, okay, whatever. Yeah, do your thing. That's what I think about that.
Yeah. No, but he's the hot ticket for 2 weeks now. He's been the love of their lives. Everybody.
No, he was big. No, he was big before. Before I went inside.
He was big, but he's trending a lot these days, especially when he got on this whole black fatigue. Black people, nobody wants to be around black people. He said the N-word a couple of times. Now, a lot of people are jumping on his little ship. All right.
Well, like Sissy, when sissies want to talk tough, like that's when they break out the ethnic slurs, because like that, he's for real. He said it. Like, you hear him say? I heard him say it.
Right.
Like that's the thing. But look, you say he's trending recently. Okay, well, that's the way it is on social media. Dude he did get he went on Tim Pool with your boy Kanye before I went inside. I remember seeing that.
He did what?
Episode
he was. Wait a minute.
He was on the Tim Pool show.
Okay.
With, Kanye.
Oh wow!
Before I went in.
I did not.
Oh yeah, this is a couple years ago. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like he's up, he's down. I don't give a shit. He was. Right? I believe he got a meeting with Trump at some point. Him and or if not him, Miley Yiannopoulos and Kanye certainly.
Okay.
But it's like, he's been around. He's been saying his thing. The Forever movement was when I was outside. It was put it this way. In online culture, it was somewhat significant. Like the Grippers were a thing, right?
Right.
Again, these supposedly Catholic white kids who believed in this and that, and they're conservatives. Okay, fine. But yeah, he's been talking spicy for a while. I'm like, so so that's the thing. But when I saw that what he was doing and saying on January 6th, and I saw that like no one picked him up, I'm like, okay, this guy's a snitch. Before I was like, okay, he's a sissy, that's fine, and because sissies like to talk tough. When they, okay, fine. But yeah, when I saw what he was saying on Jan 6, it's like nobody picked it up. No, that law enforcement didn't touch it. And then, meanwhile, they were going around running down people who weren't even in Washington on that day. I'm like, okay, he's an asset, right?
Right,
and from
right.
then on, it's like that's when I had the appropriate lens. It's like, okay, I see what's going on here, and that's it. So that's why I can't bring myself to kind of be interested other than as a spectacle, but not as a genuine political force. I don't see that. You know.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, like I said,
and by the way, if he turns out to become a genuine political force, then so be it, right? I mean,
well, he's only gonna become that to the white nationalists.
Well, whoever, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is that whatever. I mean, then he's like any other political force, right? I mean, this is politics. So whoever shows up to the fight is in the fight,
right?
So no problem. You know what I'm saying? I don't have any. I don't feel that like. I don't feel any kind of way about him becoming a political force. If he does, it's like, okay, then that will be the political reality, and that's something that people will have to deal with in the political arena. No problem. I mean, that's politics. People show up with all kinds of ideas, right? Good, bad, dumb, indifference, right? And you fight it out in the realm of ideas, in the realm of public relations, in the realm of talking to people, in the realm of building coalitions. Okay, no problem. I can't get excited about it. That's all.
Right.
Right.
On that. No, I understood that. It's like I said. It's funny to me because, like I said before, it's like everybody's dipping off the Candace Owens playbook. And they're coming after the black people, and the minute they get big by stomping on black people, because that's how Candace got big. That's how he's getting big. That's what Charlie Kirk did.
Let's not give these people too much credit. Okay, like to me, stomping on someone means something very specific, like that kinetic.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, he's not stomping on anybody. He's not stomping on anybody. I mean, for all I know, Nick Fuentes is afraid of cows. You understand what I'm saying? He's not stomping on nobody. He's not stepping up to it. Neither is Candace Owens. She's not stomping on it. She's talking shit. That's all. She's talking shit about black folks. Well, was anyway, when it was fashionable. That's all she's doing. In other words, and the reason I make that distinction is, well, yeah, she's not negatively impacting people's lives. No, she's just annoying, bro. She's annoying and annoying.
Well, now she's not. Now she's not because she's pissing. Now she's not because she's pissing everybody else off. She.
Even when she was, it's like she was just annoying, bro. She wasn't stomping on nobody. Charlie Kirk, same thing. Charlie Kirk ain't stomping on no place. It's Charlie Kirk's dream about stomping on a black person. He better wake up and apologize. I mean, another sissy. That's what I'm saying, bro. No. For real, it's like this is. This is almost a political matter. It's like we have to stop responding to sissies as if they're not sissies. Understand what I'm saying? Like. You know what they call people like that in here? They call people like that in here. They call them gate monsters because the door to your cell is called your gate. You know what I'm saying? So his guys get on. So when everyone's cell is locked, right? His guys get on and talk a lot of shit. Wow, they put the shit with their whole chest. Yeah, and then when it's time to go to rest, they never go out. They never go to the yard. Yeah, you're a gate monster. You popping out tomorrow? No. So that's what this is. You bring nothing to the fight. Nothing. So you're not like so. Yeah, like that. The proper reaction is. Again, the only reason I have a particular problem with Candace Owens is because some of us, me included, have been trying to do this work of trying to hand losses to Democrats, because we see that Democrats have been giving us, death, poverty, and destruction, right, in our cities for decades now. They're helping us to death. They're helping us to death, Reverend. Okay, and so some of us want to do something about that, and the problem is that if for young people who are coming up, who are trying to figure out which way they should go, or trying to figure out what to align with, or what have you, that kind of rhetoric works against what we're trying to do, right? And so that's a problem in terms of how well we can do our work. But beyond that, you're not stomping on anyone's butt. You just talk shit.
Right.
Yeah.
You just got right.
Fucking mad shit.
I'm gonna have to use that the next time somebody get on my nerves.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't make capable energy.
Yeah. Well, I got a few of those. Well, they haven't showed up. It's funny that I haven't had any of them show up on my Get Up on my page here lately. Because like I said, I've just been trying to. Well, what's going on here? What do you think about that socialist that y'all got out there? And we got one here too.
Jesus.
But what do you think of the one you guys have there in New York?
So Mama's boy Mamdani, I don't know where he came from. It's interesting.
Isn't he rich?
He come out of nowhere. Well, yes, his family's very rich. Yes.
Okay.
His mom's an award-winning filmmaker and so on and so forth. Yeah, I mean, his son's done money. And he obviously acts and talks like he's never had a real job in his life. So,
right.
Yeah, go figure. But he seemed to come out of nowhere. But the thing is, his ground game was on point, and especially in a primary, where turnout isn't all that high, he managed to get good turnout. And so, I mean, basically a lot of white progressives and some number of Muslims came out and voted for him, and that's why he won the primary. And after all, we have to be honest. The other reason why he did so well is because the rest of the field was so horrible. People just didn't. People are not going to activate and get turned out with such a dismal looking field. I mean, who do you have? You have Andrew Cuomo, jeez, right? You have Eric Adams, oh boy, and you have Curtis Lewa. Come on now. So he managed to activate his people. The people who naturally gravitate toward his dumb message, and he won the primary. And now it's like, I don't know. I've heard that Eric Adams might have problems accessing campaign funds because of some the issue he was involved in with I believe it was the Turkish government and some ill-gotten gains or some gifts that he received. I'm not sure about all that, but it's looking very dismal right now in terms of the prospect. Whoever the new mayor is going to be is not going to be great. Curtis Lewa is not really in the running. I mean, he seems to always run and never does anything.
Right.
Running is his job. Okay, fine. But yeah, like we have the bad, the worst, and the ugly. It's not the good, the bad. It's the bad, the worst, and the ugly. So whoever wins, it's not going to be great. But on the other hand, the good news is that the mayor of New York City doesn't really get to just make his own make funding decisions kind of independent of it. Like New York City has to kind of clear its budget with a third-party organization. I don't remember what it's called. I don't remember the entire process. But this goes all the way back to when New York was bankrupt, and a bunch of financiers, including this guy named Felix Rohatyn, put together a fund to kind of like bail New York out. And one condition of that was that New York's budget has to be vetted outside of either the New York City legislature or the New York City's mayor's office. Which means that he's hobbled in what he can do. which is good. I think most of his really, all the ideas are bad, but most of his really, really bad ideas just have no chance of coming anywhere near fruition. The bad news is that if he wins, we'll have someone who doesn't know how to run a city, hasn't a clue, and the kinds of things that a mayor is supposed to do, he won't do well. So be it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's where we are. That's where we are.
Well, we're almost in the same boat that you all are.
Mm-hmm.
We got this dude here who, I would somewhat go along with him, but he's too far out there. One of the things he wants to do is he wants to completely abolish the police, completely, like no more police cars, like no more that you can call 911, no more. And even though he has kind of pulled back on that a little bit because people have been pressing him on his stance, he was one of the people who backed some of the people on the city council who wanted to get rid of the police, and we got rid of those members of the city council and got people on the city council who maybe don't like the police that much, but they will fight a little bit for the police versus what we had on there before. But the dude who wants to be mayor of the city, the biggest city here in Minnesota, wants to do away with the police department, and that's just it's mind numbing. And they have nothing. They have nothing to replace it with. That's the thing, right?
Well, that's the thing, right? If I heard someone say they wanted to move from having a police department to having a constitutional sheriff, I'd say, well, that's interesting. I could see that, right? Because after all, that's something where as opposed to a
you have 1 minute left.
As opposed to a police chief who serves at the pleasure of the mayor, you have a sheriff who is elected. That's a little bit more accountability, and then every serving law enforcement officer is just a sheriff's deputy. I could see that might make sense. That by itself won't make things better, but at least you're injecting some accountability. You're making a system that was less accountable, potentially a little bit more accountable to the people, to all the people. But yeah, just like getting rid of the police, that's just dumb. But that's the thing. It's like, you get a lot of people with dumb ideas, and in part because, I'll say that you get a lot of people with dumb ideas. I just heard Minute Maid, so I'm going to drop and come back to you.
Yes, sir.
Right back. Yeah.
See you in a minute.
The caller has hung up.
All right. Again, I think everybody should be on the same page now. What we do here usually on Sundays, when Dexter get the opportunity to call in. Again, Dexter, this is my, I'm not saying he's anybody else's, but this is my political prisoner. I believe he's in prison because of politics. And everybody's want to be the first to do something. Well, they found a black man, and this is how I frame it. This is how I see it, because this is what happened. They decided to find a black man, go over his credit cards, because here's the thing. Now, if Dexter really wanted to buy firearms and hide them, he could do that. Just pay cash, right? No one would have ever known. No one would have zero clue what this man was doing. But because he believed in what he was doing, and he realized that he wasn't creating a problem and he wasn't doing anything wrong, the dude bought all his parts with his credit card. You can trace a credit card. So that should tell them right then and there that Dexter meant no harm to no one. But because of the system that we in, and hold on, that looks off. No, the other way, Tim. because the system that we are in, this is what we get. Dexter ended up going to prison for 10 years for doing something that they shouldn't even have a problem with. They shouldn't have a problem with it. And like I said, my problem now is let's go get the illegal guns off the street. These guns that these criminals are basically slobbering over now. That heightens up going after those firearms and getting those firearms off the street. Because we got too many black kids in the black community shooting and killing each other. That's a fact. That's a fact. I mean, we could. I mean, there is no argument there at all. I mean, I think they in Chicago alone. I was reading something in Chicago alone. They was blasting each other like crazy. One of the deadliest weekends that there were. Right. But anyway, again, we are talking to Dexter Taylor. We're going to give him a few minutes here to get back on. What happens is Dexter can talk for about 35 minutes, and then after that, it cuts us off, and then he has a call back. So we usually wait for him to chime back in here, and then we'll get back at it. We'll see if he can do one more 30 minutes, and then that's about it. And I think we've done almost 2 and some hour or so on this. Oh yeah. We'll be hitting that 2 hour limit on this here thing. But again, we thank each and every one of you guys for tuning in and give us the opportunity just to run off at the mouth for a little bit, to talk to some people. And if any time you all want to, because I know Carl can set this up. If you guys want to say hi to Dexter or get into our conversation or have to, please let us know. Let us know. We'll give you the opportunity. If you want to just drop in for a little bit and or if you got a conversation you want to start or something that is important to you that you want to talk about, or you want to ask Dexter and I questions or something like that, it's easy to do. All they have to do is get in touch with Carl. And Carl can set it up to where we can have a conversation and you can be right here with us. So we open that door and give you the opportunities to come in and talk to us. We'll definitely appreciate that. Or you can leave a comment on the Get Up here, and I'll try to get to it. I just popped it up, so I was sitting there going, oh my God, I hope nobody's putting anything in the comments, because I hadn't been looking at them tonight. But I've got it up now, so thank goodness nobody put anything in there, or I would have been in some serious trouble going, wow, I feel bad that I left you hanging. So that's 2 ways you can get in touch with us. Like I said, if you want to be part of the conversation, you can get in touch with Carl. Carl can set everything up that way, or you can leave your comments on the board there, and I will definitely get to them and see what we got. All right, with one of those deals. But yeah, I was going over.
We're back, Mr. Reverend Till.
Sounds like it. Hey, Carl. Carl, you still there, or did you jump off?
I think he muted it.
Oh, did he jump off? Okay. All right.
I think he probably muted his phone, yeah.
I was going to ask him how that little one was doing. I know he,
yeah.
I know the little one's getting a little bigger there, and keeping him up, keeping him up at night.
No, he's been I think he's teething now. So.
Oh, okay.
Day to day, he might be a little bit fussy one day and good the next, and so on and so forth. But pretty soon he's gonna be smiling for real, Reverend.
Right.
Before he was just faking the fuck. He was gumming it, but now he's gonna be smiling for real.
Definitely.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
so football season is almost underway. So
yeah.
So you got to pick a team this year.
Why I gotta pick a team?
Man, you just got come on. You got it's just because everybody got a team. I think everybody got a team. Carl got the Dolphins. I'm the Packers. So I mean, we got to get your team, man. I
don't even know who's up in there this year.
Well, you got New York down there. You could take them, or you can take the Jets, or you can go Buffalo. I mean, you got, in your state there, you got 3 teams to actually you can pick from, or you can even go Washington. So that's kind of in your area, your district, somewhat.
I mean, Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah, Eastern Seaboard.
Well, you can't even. They're not even the Redskins anymore. They're the Commanders.
Right. Yeah. But they I think Trump. I thought Trump was going to get that back. Say, because he put up everybody's upset. I don't know if you know about that. That he's going to have that statue that was pulled down during the Black Lives Matter protests. Apparently, they're supposed to be putting that Confederate general, Confederate whatever he was, back up on the statue. So that got a few people upset with that situation. But my understanding, that I guess they're going to fight to get the Redskins back, so they can start saying, Redskins instead of the Commanders. So, okay.
Yeah, I mean, as usual, that's I think it's a lot of the whole thing about changing the name in the first place. I was like, at the end of the day, that feel good thing. It's like, well, we're going to change the name of this thing, and that's going to be better for people. I'm like, no, it's not. It's going to make no difference. Feels like none. It's kind of like when New York State spent all that money to change the signage and the paperwork, and they went from calling us inmates to incarcerated individuals. Well done. Like that's. Yeah, you spent all that money and you haven't actually changed anything. But now you can feel good saying the word.
Or unhoused people.
Oh yeah, homeless.
Homeless.
Yeah. Well, that works until they're trying to get him off the street. Then they go right back to being homeless. Gavin Newsom was like, "Oh, you can't talk about the unhoused." And then when the Chinese premier came to visit L.A., he was like, "Whatever city." He was like, y'all have to get your homeless ass on up out of here.
Right. Right.
Whole thing changed up.
The hypocrites, man. These people, they're straight hypocrites at the end of the day.
Well, listen, if you're out of ideas, then changing the name of something is a quick fix for that. It seems like it's doing something because names have power, but not really. So yeah, that's the way that is. But I mean, I used to back in the day, I used to be watching the Redskins fan, but again, I like to be honest, I like watching football. If got a room full of people or whatever, and they're watching football. I like watching it. I like seeing the athleticism and the speed and the strength and the training. Whatever. I think that's cool.
Right.
But in terms of caring that much what team wins, not so much. Some of the guys on this tier are different. We got one guy who's a real betting dude. He's always betting on sports. So he's got his teams and what have you. But I just, I don't care that much. I just think it's a cool game to watch. That's all. And I also like some of the technology that when you watch football on TV now, it's in some ways it's very different from how it was back at when I was as a kid. I'd be in the living room with my dad watching Wide World of Sports.
Right.
You remember that? The Wide World of Sports.
Yeah.
The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now it's very different. And the way it makes the game a lot easier to follow. And you've got this cool stuff like flying cameras and shit. And it's like you're seeing the game from all these different angles. Like, I think that's mad cool. Yeah.
Well, sometimes it almost looks like especially if you got. I've got a pretty good TV, and the damn thing looks like it's in 4K sometimes. Or whatever you call it. Yeah, it looks like a video game sometimes, right? On there. So.
That's crazy.
That's what I like. Yeah, you're right. That's what I like about it, and especially how they can keep up with everything with all these here angles on it. So
exactly, that's really cool.
Well, being here in Minnesota, I've got the Vikings to make fun of. That's basically what I do with the Vikings. I love making fun of, but I hate the Bears. I like the Vikings. I'll even cheer for the Vikings. I would never cheer for the Bears. I don't care. When people sit there and go, well, they're in our division and we should care about the division and who the division. No. If Dallas, I'll tell you how much I hate the Bears. If Dallas and the Bears played each other, I'm taking Dallas. Period, point blank.
Damn, man. I know you don't like Dallas.
That's how much I do not like the Bears, bro. Do not like the Bears. But one day, I'm going to Chicago with my Packer jersey on to watch a game. One day.
Okay.
One day. And I'm going to have a hidden taser. I'm going to have to hide a taser on me. Yeah. But this year I got to I think it'd be cool to go over there, and I've never been over there to watch a game, but I've been over to Green Bay to watch a game, and I've been over there just to go over there to tailgate.
Tailgate party.
Yeah. Oh my goodness,
that's another cool thing about.
Yeah.
Cool thing about football. It's tailgate party. Yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah. That is because we stayed at, and this is years ago. So I'm just gonna go all the way back almost. Wow. I'm gonna have to put some of those pictures up. I have to go about 13, 14 years back. We went over there to Green Bay to watch a game, and we never even made it into the stadium because by the time we left our hotel, in Green Bay they block off the road leading to the stadium, and you can walk down.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so you can walk down this road, right, and it leads you directly to the stadium. Dude, I had this cup. And I had lemonade in the cup when we first start walking down this road. By the time we got, I don't even know, by the time we got to the stadium, I don't know what I had in the cup. Because every time I walk by somewhere, people was just pouring stuff in the cup, bro. So by the time because I know I had a couple of brats, and I know I had some Jack Black in there at some point in time. I know that.
Wow.
By the time we got to the stadium, and I'll show you the picture. I'm going to show you the picture. I'm going to post the picture one time. But by the time I go to the stadium, dude.
You had a Long Island night.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness, dude. You talking about somebody 4-5 shades to the wind, bro. I mean, I was. Oh, man. I don't even remember walking back to the hotel room. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
That's hilarious.
It was crazy. Yeah, yeah. But it was a good time. So that's what I like. That's what I like about football. So that's why I say you got to get a team now, Dex. Got to get you a team.
Yeah, see, and I say I'm so geeky, right? That like if I said okay, I get myself a team, I couldn't just choose one. I would have to start going and looking at the stats and the players and really like getting into like betting cats do and really be like, okay, yeah, this is my team, you know. But as it is, man, I would just be choosing a random. Like, I don't know what's up in there. Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. Then you can see this way you can come in all new and start learning your team, start learning, good and bad things about them, whole thing, because every team got something bad about them, right? Be like the Vikings, never going to win a Super Bowl. The cows will come home before the Vikings actually win a Super Bowl, who swear that they got a quarterback every single year. Turns out they don't have a quarterback. So that's the big thing. Well, Dante Culpepper, when they had this kid, I don't know if you ever want to see a kid throw a ball. I mean, just unbelievable.
Got an arm. Huh?
Oh my God! Look up Dante Culpepper. This kid, just phenomenal throwing the ball. I mean, phenomenal. I mean, other than Doug Williams, like I don't know if you was watching football or if you ever watched when Doug Williams was playing, especially when he played for Washington and he won the Super Bowl. I've never seen a stronger arm. Doug Williams had an arm that was out of this world. Dante Culpepper was like a Doug Williams, man. Unbelievable. Okay. He just got hurt. I think if he hadn't got hurt, I think the Vikings could have done something with him. But yeah, he was phenomenal. He was like Randall. I think Randall Cunningham had a good delivery, but I don't think he was as accurate. But he was here in Minnesota too, on the Vikings. The Vikings have had some pretty good quarterbacks. They just don't have coaches that can actually coach a team to a Super Bowl, and that's what the problem is. So, I'm dumping on the Vikings here real quick, like I always do.
Got to dump on the Vikings.
Yeah,
man.
There's Doc. Doc says no quarter stands with Dexter Taylor.
Oh, thanks, Doc. Shout out to Doc and his fans. No quarter. Yeah,
Yes.
let me say something. Like every time, like we've had two of these. They put on two of these benefit concerts for me and for my case. And but I never heard the music, but from everything that I heard from people who could hear the music, they tore it up both times. I mean, they just tore it up. When my mom is like, yeah, I really like the music. She was like, it was great. So like everyone loved them, and I love them too. So thank you, Doc. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, and all the guys in the band. Great stuff.
Yeah. These people, like I said, a lot of times when you get in trouble, it definitely shows how much people love you. Especially something like this that's going on. So I think people have definitely shown you that they're definitely in your corner. We love you, and whatever we can do to get you, through this. I think we all willing to do that, man. We're not gonna let you.
I know that.
Sit out here and rot like.
I mean,
that.
And what I keep saying is, we're pushing that two-pronged strategy, right? We got the legal side, with my legal team. That's really a first-rate legal team. But then we've got the political side as well. And the idea behind that is to make enough noise to hopefully get federal government or someone else to take New York State to court, because again, we understand this is a civil rights issue. New York is violating the civil rights of American citizens, and B, we want more Democrats around the country to lose. I mean, I'll just make it plain, right?
Uh-huh.
One of the reasons the Democrats get away with this kind of thing is that they can. right? So they don't pay a political price for it, is what I'm trying to say. So, I think it would be good for conservatives around the country to get activated, right? And to really bump up the turnout with these off-year elections, and to show that, listen, we're gonna make you pay for all of your stupid agenda, but including so-called gun control. We're gonna make you pay for that. So that's what I would say. Like, if we can inflict maximum political embarrassment and political damage on Democrats, let's do that. I'll take that all day. Even if it doesn't help me get out of here, I'll take it. I'll take it. 100%. Right. Let's go. Yeah.
No, understood. I mean, they're yeah. Like I said, I wish the awakening that those in those in our community had would have been something that was going to be sustained. I think what I can see now is we're getting weak, especially in some of these here blue cities, thinking that we've made our statement, and now only thing we have to do is sit back and see what's going to happen. What our people don't realize is we got to stay on these people, all of them, whether they're Democrat or Republicans. We have to stay on them in order to make whatever changes happen that we're looking for at the end of the day. Because if we don't
think it's just.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like I was going to say, I agree. Except that I don't think it's just our people. I mean, again, I don't think there's any. Put it this way. The same thing is true. Keep in mind, like before Trump showed up, right? What did you have in the Republican? Well, you have a bunch of Republican politicians who weren't doing anything for the conservative cause. Weren't doing anything to advance the conservative agenda. And showing up year after year after year after year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why everyone knew what Trump meant when he said drain the swamp. We wasn't even talking about Democrats. There's a lot of Republicans too, right? Okay, so no one says, well, the thing about white people is that they have to learn that. No. It's like, look, that, people have a tendency to do that, right? To say, okay, I've got my guy in there, or our guy in there, and that's what it is. And especially if the two parties are different enough in whatever sense that you've got nowhere to go. In other words, we only have two parties. So, for example, if you're really hard on certain issues, it doesn't matter how. Like if you're really 100% on 2A, then it doesn't matter how bad the Republicans are on everything else. You're not going to vote for Democrat. You're just not. Okay. That's not a black thing or a white thing. It's a human thing. So that's what I would say. It's not anything that's wrong with us. This is a general tendency, especially in a country where look, we have a very specialized economy. People don't work the land, but they do complicated things. Very often, two people have to work in a household to maintain it, to raise the kids, what have you. People got stuff to do, and they can't always give things their full attention. So I understand that people fall into habits, and that's just how it is. The thing is that, as I've said before, a lot of people are on autopilot, and that's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Modern life is very hard, and sometimes, autopilot is the way to go. It's just that sometimes you have to know when to disengage the autopilot and actually really pay attention and actually fly the aircraft. So if you want to call it a revolution, the Trump revolution was an example of a bunch of American voters going off autopilot and saying, hey, wait a minute, something's different here. Something's changed, right? And that's a good start. That's a good start. But now, I think what's most important is to understand that, like, this thing of populist conservatism is it has to carry on. It has to carry on, and it has to go from strength to strength. And that has to happen, long after Trump is out of office, because this isn't a one cycle or a two cycle fight. This is a generational fight, right, for all of us. So, that's what I would say. And, there's plenty of black conservatives out there fighting the good fight too. And again, a lot of they have a similar problem to what I have with some of these influencers. Some of these, it's like, too many. There are a lot of conservatives working at cross purposes to each other. That's a problem, and we have to figure out how to get around that. So yeah, that's what I would say to that. It's not just us; it's everybody. I mean, hell, my family. Think about it. Like my family was, voted Democrat pretty reliably until this thing happened to me, because they haven't seen such stark evidence of how badly wrong the Democrats have gone until this thing happened to me. They're like, oh, and then they started rethinking. That's normal, right? Some of these issues we're dealing with, these political issues, are so complicated. I mean, the Second Amendment is simple, but some of these other things are complicated enough that, like, people don't necessarily have the time to geek out on politics the way you or I might, right? Right. And then also, people are being lied to. That's the thing. I always say that, the most important class divide in America, one of the most important, is the divide between people who get most of their news from television and people who get most of the news from the internet. Now, you can still be misled on the internet, but if you're watching television, if that's where you're getting your idea of what's happening in the world from television, you don't have a chance. It's like that, at least you've got a shot with the internet. So, yeah, as people disengage from one media stream and start engaging with another, like all of like my mom. I talk to my mom, just about every day, and she's always telling me, like, "Whoa, I never knew all this stuff." She had this big red pill moment when this happened to me, and then now she's browsing conservative YouTube, and she's like, "I didn't know they were doing this. I didn't know the Democrats were doing this and this and that." Because, well, yeah, if you're watching TV, you just wouldn't know that because they'd never talk about it. So that's what I mean.
Well, there you go. Oh, breaking news. I thought you may want to know. There could be some people out there that may want to know this. I don't know how true this is, but it's on the internet. Yeah. So if it's on the internet, everything is real. But the owner of Peanut the squirrel have filed a $10 million lawsuit against the state of New York for the wrongful killing of Peanut the squirrel.
Wait, who is Peanut the squirrel now?
You didn't know about Peanut? Well, so Peanut the squirrel was this little squirrel that somebody found and started taking care of. And because you know how government is, always like to tell us what we can and cannot do. Well, government told this couple that they can't have this squirrel. They can't take care of the squirrel. And I think they came and got the squirrel, and apparently they killed the squirrel.
Wow.
Yeah. So they filed a $10 million lawsuit against the state of New York for that reason. So the state of New York is just screwing up all the way around. So whether they come after squirrels and do squirrels wrong, or if they come after black men and do black men wrong, the state of New York is just they just screwing up. They screwing up big time, Dex. On that.
Yeah, that sounds like that. That's crazy. I mean, imagine the state of New York being like, "Hey, you can't. This squirrel can't stay with you." Really?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Like, wow.
And
nothing
that's
more important to do, I guess.
And that's pretty much what they say. But I want to leave. I want to leave tonight on this here, asking you a question about what's your thought on this topic. There is a chance. There's a chance. My understanding that Trump may legalize marijuana. He's been thinking about it. And a lot of conservatives are not liking that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying that marijuana is a gateway drug. They're saying that it drops your IQ, your cognitive dissonance, will go down and all. Boy, they've been coming up with some stuff like you wouldn't believe. Your senses no longer work. Your daily work will suffer because it slows you down and all this here type of stuff. These they've been going crazy over this topic. So, what's your 2 cents on that?
Well, I mean, look. As a matter of fact, look, it's marijuana is a psychoactive, or THC, the active ingredient. It is a psychoactive drug. I have no problem believing that it interferes with cognition. Why? Because in my younger years, I was around a lot of people who were like hardcore marijuana smokers, and what struck me was that how stupid and boring many of them seemed. I mean, I'm sorry, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about guys who like light a joint every now and then. I'm talking about cats who are like hardcore. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, you done told the same story. This is like the 10th time I'm hearing that story. You know, it's like, so I have no problem believing that marijuana has, can have all these bad effects. It's a psychoactive drug, and the dose is the poison. So the more potent it is, the more likely you could have some effects that you really wouldn't want. To me, that's not the question. The question is it government's place to regulate to regulate plant matter in that way?
Right.
That's the question. Is it the correct role for government, to regulate plant matter in that way? Well, I'm not a libertarian, so I can see the wisdom of government clamping down on certain substances, fentanyl being one example. On the other hand, I think it would be one advantage of legalizing marijuana is that we take some pressure off the criminal justice system. In terms of states that are still running people down for smoking a joint or for having marijuana on their person, right?
Right.
So I don't need to believe that marijuana is wholly beneficial, because nothing is wholly beneficial. I don't have to believe that marijuana is the devil. The question is it the government's place to regulate this? And again, if we say that it's not government's place to regulate that, then what's the doctrine, right? Like, okay, so what about, if this is the government shouldn't regulate plant matter. If you want to do something with plants, that's their business.
You have
what
1
about
minute
opium?
left.
What about opium? What about, what have you? And then there's an additional thing that, like hemp, so that a hemp plant, is something that people used to grow, around the time of the founding of this nation.
Sure.
A lot of people used to grow it. They used to use the foliage and the seeds to feed animals. They'd make clothing out of it. They'd spin the fibers, what have you. So, I think on the whole, I might come down on the side of less government as far as this is concerned, and say, let's get the government out of this. Hang on a second. I'm gonna call you back, and we'll finish out our evening.
Sounds like a deal. We'll talk to you in a minute.
All right, bro.
Thanks.
Yep.
The caller has hung up.
All right, people. We're gonna finish that one out. So Dexter's gonna give us a call back here in a few seconds, and we'll finish up with the topic of, should the government tell people, like they always want to do, what to do anymore and how to do it and what forth and the whole nine. I'll give you my 2 cents on this here very subject here. It may shock you. It shocks a lot of people when I tell them my what I think about it, because the first thing everybody always say is, well, you're a reverend. Well, I always remind them that in the Bible says that God made everything, and everything God made was good. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That's what it says. I'm just saying. You don't think that all plants was around when Adam and Eve was running the. All plants was around. So I don't know if they ate it or they figured out that, you can fire this here up. Don't know. We don't know. Somewhere. Are we back?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
We're back.
Sounds like a deal.
Yeah.
No, I'm with I'm with you on that about government regulating. Yeah.
And here's another thing, by the way. Here's another thing. I found out recently. I think I was on a space with Carl or something like that, and I found out that in some states you can't, for example, brew your own beer, even if it's just for your own consumption. Like even if you brew like a single gallon of beer, right?
Oh wow.
That's illegal, right? In some states, you can't distill alcohol even for your own consumption. I'm talking about selling it or nothing, just for your own personal use, right? That it's illegal in some states. Now that's crazy to me, right?
Right.
And so I know why I come down on that. It's like, well, no, the government should not. I mean, I even have problems with the government regulating commerce. Like if I want to brew beer and sell it to my neighbor, why is that the government's business? Okay. But certainly brewing beer, beer and making beer, wine, and spirits for your own consumption, that's something that should be legal in every state. So maybe if it would be nice if legalizing, one plant would open the door toward legalizing something like that. Like why can't people brew their own alcohol in all 50 states? And they say, well, if you brew it wrong, it can be poisonous. Well, yes, is it the role of government to prevent every bad outcome? And my answer is obviously no.
No.
And look, I can see, again, if we talk about agriculture, right? We're talking about agricultural output, whether you're growing marijuana or whether you're growing potatoes to make vodka with or whatever. I like anything that increases the ability of ordinary people to turn land, for example, into prosperity, into profit. Anything that helps small landholders and homesteaders hold on to what they have and maybe even increase the value of what they have. So yeah, I think less government in this regard would be a good thing. And again, I'm hoping it someone points out the fact that it's insane that the federal government should care, or even that state governments should care that you're boiling grain and brewing beer. That's insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that should go away. So,
no, I totally agree with
you. Yeah.
I totally agree with you. When I was growing up, my grandmother would make this grape wine. She had this vase, this huge thing. Yeah, man. I don't know how many times we as kids would get into that thing and drink some of that wine and be laying out in the field because we was drunk. I tell you, the good old days, and it didn't hurt anybody. It's the same thing.
No.
It's the same thing. Like now, if I lived in Memphis, Tennessee now, and had my boys walking down the street and they both had 22 long guns going out to shoot rabbits like we did, people would lose their damn mind. You know that?
Yeah.
And then the government was, and they have, but then the government would step in. But I see it this way. My mindset when it comes, especially when it comes to marijuana. I smoked marijuana when I was young. When I was in my 20s, I mean, from 15 to about 23, I smoked every day. didn't infect me, didn't get in a car accident, didn't freak out at work, didn't hurt anybody, didn't deal with anybody.
Right.
I have to believe I still know my ABCs and my 1, 2, 3s without a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if somebody wants to light up a joint and sit there and eat Twinkies and Doritos and play Zelda on their Nintendo all day, and on a Saturday after they've worked throughout the whole week. I mean, you know, I worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I busted my butt. I worked hard.
Mm-hmm.
On a Saturday, if that's all I want to do is sit around all day and play Nintendo and blaze all day, leave me alone. I'm not bothered. I'm not out robbing anybody. I'm not out hurting anybody. I'm not out dealing anybody. I was smart enough to say I'm not going today. I'm not going anywhere. So this is what I feel like doing. Right. So
right.
If you got responsible people, and apparently they got we got a place here called Buffalo, Minnesota, right? And they're about to open a dispensary in Buffalo, Minnesota. But here's why I am all for these small, like Anoka, Minnesota. They're about to open up a dispensary in Anoka. Here's why I'm for it. Because I see the white people coming into Minneapolis buying their drugs. When they come into Minneapolis to buy the drugs, that fuels those very kids who are out here shooting each other. Because it's nothing for a kid to make $500 a day selling dime bags all day. It's nothing for them to do that. You know what I mean? And then the kid put $150 in his pocket, and he gives give the rest to the dude he's working for. So I think this is going to slow, except for the hard drugs that they come into the city for. But I think this is going to slow down some of the people coming in the city buying drugs. I hope so. I hope that's what this does.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think that's why I disagree with you. I mean, I don't think that I haven't seen any evidence that legalizing marijuana, for example, will do anything to stop young men who grew up in the streets, who grew up without fathers, who grew up in broken families. It's going to do anything to stop those young men from running around and causing trouble. I don't see that at all.
Oh no, they're gonna act up
because young men. Well, yeah, what I'm saying is that young men learn to act right in the family. Yeah,
you're right.
And so if you break the family, you're gonna have a bunch of young men not acting right. It doesn't matter if they're selling stuff or not selling. Those young men will find something to fight each other in the streets about. They'll find something to bust up the place about because that's what young men do if they haven't been trained. If they didn't have a strong father in the house, right?
Yep.
If they haven't been taught right from wrong, et cetera, et cetera. You see what I'm saying? So I wouldn't. That's not the argument I would use. I would say, if it's X or Y or Z is none of the government's business. End of story. The problem of young people shooting each other up in the street and shooting the place, that's that problem, and let's go solve that problem. But I don't believe that. Legal. I mean, I understand that. I think marijuana is legal in the state of New York, and has been for a while.
It is?
That hasn't stopped young men from shooting each other. Yeah, that hasn't stopped young men from running around being violent in the street. Not at all. Not at all. Right? So that's what I say. That's what I say to that. I mean, hell, look, in the early days of New York City, well, let's say in the early 1900s in New York City, you had all kind of gangs, right in various parts of New York, right? And they weren't necessarily selling drugs. They were just like, well, this is this gang, and these guys have this block, and these guys have that section, these guys are in the Hell's Kitchen, and they would rumble all the time, right? So, I look in the early days of New York City, when the fire departments were all private, right? They were basically run by different gangs, and you'd have this gang that actually had a fire engine, and this other gang that had this, and sometimes they would meet on their way to fight a fire and end up fighting with each other in the street.
Sure.
So people will find a reason, and human beings will find a reason, to fight each other. It doesn't matter. Again, going back to scripture, right? Cain and Abel weren't even in the same business. Cain and Abel were not even in the same business, right? Okay.
Yeah.
What is it? Cain didn't say, oh man, your field is the property line is here, and Abel said, oh, the property line is there.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, Abel said, that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. Right? So I don't believe that one leads to the other. I think we have to tackle those two things separately. But I would say I'm with you in that. The more we can get government out of things that are not its business,
right.
The better. The better for liberty. The better for human flourishing. And let's whatever problems we have, let's solve those problems. But people growing weed and smoking it, whatever, on this, like they're not hurting anybody, not doing anything stupid. That's their business.
Well, see,
and the same goes with people brewing beer on their homestead or whatever. It's their business.
Yeah. See, another thing here is you're going to be able to grow. I think it's like 3 or 4 plants. I think that's what it is. Yeah. So you'll be able to grow some plants on your own if you're really good at it here in Minnesota. So they're opening up the door to a lot of things that are going on right now. You have to go to the reservation if you're going to buy.
Yeah, to do that.
You're going to buy weed here. That's until a couple of months. I think right before Christmas. Watch this here. Right before Christmas, they're going to go, okay, the dispensaries are open. And boy, are you going to see a line like you would not believe. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be, my goodness. Yeah, because they're opening, most of the ones that they're opening right now are in rural areas where, meth, especially like Buffalo, Minnesota, and Anoka and like Elk River, Zimmerman, those are heavy meth areas. That's where you get your meth from. So they're kind of opening these dispensaries in those areas, So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see we'll see what happens. I know once they open it up, because I can go downtown right now and the place smells like weed. I mean, literally, it just smells like weed all over. You can't go to a sporting event and not smell weed. Yeah, somewhere, somehow.
That's right.
You cannot do that. It's at a point now you barely can even go in a bar. Restaurants, not so much right now, but if you go in a bar, you're going to smell weed.
Yeah.
So when that happens in McDonald's, that's when I'm gonna be like, come on. Just get it. I don't mind you smoking weed, but get it to go, Dex. Get it to go.
Get it to go. Make that weed to go. Well, make that weed to go.
Right. Just get it. Get all your stuff. Don't come into grocery stores. Don't come into McDonald's. Yeah. Don't come into Chick-fil-A. Just get it to go, because I don't want to smell you.
Get it to go.
Right.
And don't be using the drive-through neither, because that's a whole other problem.
There you go. All right, bro, man. I want to. We've been on this thing for 2 hours now. I wanted to see what your mindset, your thought was with this thing, this proposal of all 50 states going, okay, do what you want to do with marijuana. Yeah. One of those deals, and see how we come out.
Yeah, less government, I think. Less government and things that aren't the government's business anyway, I think is a net positive for us.
Sure.
So yeah.
Sure. Dig it, man. So, hey, man. Until you want to close us out tonight. Parting words.
Yes, sir. I just want to say thank you. Thanks to Carl. Thanks to my whole social media circle. For everything. for passing me the microphone, for spreading the word, for being there, in clutch time. I just remind everybody that every election matters and every place matters, and we still we have our republic, and the way we do things as far as government is concerned is not perfect by any means, and there's an argument that it's badly broken, but we also have the tools to fix it, and we have to start by paying attention and getting involved and understanding that that the fight, the fight for the future, any fight for the future, is always going to be a marathon and not a sprint. So we have to keep that mindset, keep that energy, and get out there and do what we can all the time for the things that matter to us, for the people that matter to us, the values that matter to us. And God willing, we'll win. So that's it.
Yeah. Are you still doing updates or anything on the at Carbon Mike?
No, because because the phone company has they've done something weird with my phone account. They seem to have been acting like my phone account never existed.
Okay.
So that means that my buddy Texas can't log on to my Twitter and post on my behalf. But we've created a backup account called Carbon Mike V2. Carbon Mike _V2. I should be posting content on that. Starting to post content on that sometime soon. And that's it.
So that's at Carbon Mike _V2. V2.
Yeah, version 2.
Version 2. So
Correct.
That's where you want to go.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, if you want to just leave him a note or anything, say hi or whatever, we want to get you over there. Go ahead on and follow that page, and you'll know a little bit more of what's going on with Dexter. Hey, Dexter, I appreciate you, man. So we're gonna
I appreciate you.
Like always, you are always still on our prayer list at church. We broke that down on today. With that. So again, man, I will, hey, I'll see you next Sunday, my friend.
Sounds good, brother.
All right,
Take
my
care
friend.
of yourself.
Hey, you too.
Stay strong.
Stay good, man. We'll talk to you
bro.
soon. Bye now.
All right, man. All right. Peace.
All right, man. That is our Sunday with Dexter Taylor. Like I said, with Dexter and I, we just get on here, we chop up a few things that's in the news, and just give you guys our little opinion on that. I'm going to say it again. If you want an opportunity, or you get the opportunity to come when buying and selling are controlled by the legislator, we are. Hey, Doc, sorry. I did not see that when Dexter was on here. Like I said, we was running off at the mouth. Doc, what you should do is get in touch with Carl. I'll tell you what you should do, Doc. Get in touch with Carl. Hit Carl up. And the next Sunday we're on, instead of writing on there, Doc, come on here with us, man. Come on, Doc. Come on with us, and let's have a chat. You can chat up with us and stay as long as you want to. If you want to stay the whole 2 hours, that's cool. If you want to just come on and ask a question and stay, and stay for a few minutes, it's totally up to you. But man, yeah, just hit Carl up if you want to come on and hang out with us for a little bit. We'll definitely appreciate you. No ifs, ands, or buts, and anybody else who wants to come and hang out with us. But we're going to be done, man. I will see you guys. Well, there's no more baseball. My grandson was supposed to try out on Saturday for a traveling ball, but it rained out. So, yeah, Doc said, I'll be honored. Hey, dude, come on. Come on. We will be honored to have you, bro. We will be honored to have you on chit-chatting. Like I said, we try to get on here on a Sunday. Make sure you hit Carl up and say, Carl, what do I got to do to get on with Dexter and Rev? I got a few things that I want to say. And come on with us, man. Come on, take this ride with us. I will be back fully Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Tomorrow, I've got a special guest that's going to be with me on tomorrow. Her father is in prison, was wrongfully accused in prison. So she's going to be my guest on tomorrow. I'll tell you all about that later on. But that's what's going to be happening on tomorrow. But y'all have a good night. We'll talk to you soon, fam. Peace, and I'm out. And thank each and every one of you for hanging out with us. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Bye now.